I don't know if this is a what the H or not, but Colorado is going to jump to the Big 12. It seems weird, but not anywhere close to as weird as Southern California and UCLA moving to the Big 10. I think this is a move that Colorado had to make. I think this was probably discussed when Deion was making the move to Colorado because the Pac-12 is imploding or already has imploded. So I don't know if this even qualifies for a what the H. What choice does Colorado have when it comes to Pac-12 program? Colorado is borderline relevant, but I think the relevant ones would be Colorado, Oregon,
Washington, maybe just because they're in the Seattle market.
Yeah, but I'm not a TV market guy. I mean, you might be right by some people's standards. I'm not a TV market guy. I'm like best product on the field guy.
Okay, then probably Utah has a pretty good market. I mean, they won back-to-back Pac-12 titles.
A good product.
They have a pretty great. Yeah, they have a great following in Salt Lake. I mean, again, Salt Lake City drew more for the Pac-12 title game than LA when Utah played USC last year.
Okay, so me personally, I would take Utah over Washington, even though you might have a slightly smaller fan base, just because I think that Utah is a better football program and a more relevant football program.
And you actually have a larger fan base, just a smaller market.
Right.
You see what yeah, I agree. And then I would say probably Arizona State, one of the Arizona schools. I don't know which one, but I think one of the Arizona schools you could probably take in there too.
Yeah, those non-football towns. One of the most non-football towns I've ever been to is that Phoenix area. I don't know if they even know football's going on half the time. I think they'd rather watch Kevin Durant shoot free throws on a Saturday.
It's a radically fast-growing area though, so I think they might start to care. There was a period, wasn't there, in like the 90s where either Arizona or Arizona State, I think it was the year Tennessee won it. Like they went like 11-1 or finished in the top 5. But I think what's clear cut is Utah. And I mean, but we're talking about this. I mean, does Colorado even count? Because Colorado's been a bottom feeder of college football for the last 25 years.
So, can I tell you another one of my, this is just how different it is. I'll tell you another one of my favorite recruiting stories that has to do with the Pac-12 as we have just veered wildly off of the topic is Arizona State was recruiting a guy that ended up at Tennessee. And they go in there and they say, hey, why would you want to go to Tennessee? They have too much talent. You'll never play. And it hit the young man wrong, as it should. They're basically saying you're not good enough to go play at an elite place. So instead of him being disrespectful to the coach, he walks in the other room. And if you thought hard enough, you can probably guess who it is. But he walks in the other room and he tells his mom, and his mom comes out and says, you get the H out of my living room. If you don't think my son's good enough to play at Tennessee, then you don't respect his ability. You're no longer recruiting my son. And he was going to go to Arizona State before that moment.
I think I know a very prominent Tennessee football player.
Yeah, I think we mentioned his name in this very program.
Oh, I was thinking somebody else. No, okay, wait.
It rhymes with Harry Bear. Come on. All right. A hooker shirt who can tell me what prospect I'm talking about. Rhymes who are you going to say?
I was going to say Josh Dobbs because he was committed to Arizona State for a minute.
No, this guy lived in Arizona.
Raynoch Thompson lives in Arizona.
No. He was a prospect. He's from Arizona. Rhymes with Harry Bear.
Why is my mind drawing a blank?
I don't know.
You know I'm going to kick myself when you tell me.
He was an all-pro, first-round pick. All SEC twice.
Terry Fair.
Thank you. Smoky Mountain Red.
What is wrong with my mind today?
Bear.
Raynoch Thompson played for the Cardinals. That's right. He's not from Arizona. You're right. Sorry, yeah. I got that.
I think he's from South Carolina, right?
I think so, actually.
You mean do my Theo Vaughn thing again? Riley, if you could check out what makes Raynoch Thompson a guy from South Carolina. That's
No, he's from LA. He's from Cali.
Oh, Raynock is.
Yeah. Oh, so I guess back to the point though.
I'll tell you one thing about Raynock, and I will say this, and I mean this as a complete compliment. A guy that had zero respect for his body whatsoever, because he was light and he hit people extremely hard, and his body was just not meant for that kind of violence. And I mean that as a huge compliment.
And also wasn't meant to, a body that does that shouldn't go play for an incompetent organization like the Cardinals that doesn't know how to look out for its investments. But I got, he's from
Find a name that rhymes with Raynock Thompson, like Harry Bear.
He's from Raynock is from LA, graduated from Louisiana. But I wanted to get back to Colorado for a minute because like we went way off. But the point,
off topic. Me on a Friday. What are you talking about? Before a holiday weekend, Caleb.
No. The point with the Colorado story that's crazy is, remember, Colorado set in motion the entire breakup of the Pac-12 of the Big 12 just 12 years ago. They left to join the Pac-12. That means, if for those who don't remember, the Big 12 was the original Big 8 plus the 4 premier Southwest Conference schools: Texas, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, and Baylor. And Colorado was part of that Big 8 rivalries with Nebraska. Nebraska goes to the Big 10, Colorado goes to the Pac-12. So it's hilarious how the tables have turned. The question becomes, what happens with the 4 corner schools? That's why I brought up Colorado, the 2 Arizonas, and Utah. And you know, Dave, Arizona is an AAU-affiliated school, so is Colorado and Utah. Do you think there's a chance that the Big 10 would go for them at all, or is there just no value that they bring? Would they draw the big? Would Utah or Colorado hold the Big 10 back? Would they be moochers rather than producers?
Well, I think the Big 10 would go for the TV market route, like you mentioned Washington. So,
well, I think they were looking the TV market route, and then they decided last year that Washington is just not worth it. That even with the TV market, Washington would just be a moocher, not a producer.
No, that's fair. I guess it depends what you want. I mean, would the SEC go after an Oregon? You know, they played them. Would there be anything neat about that? I'm obviously grasping for straws to see. I'll make an argument. It would be neat to have a West Coast team. It would be, you'd have another huge market, blah, blah, blah. I still think it's stupid.
I think Greg Sankey has been very committed to wanting a level of congruency with the SEC and to keep it regionally based. The SEC's next move is into Carolina and Virginia if they expand. First of all, Florida State, the SEC's next move is raiding the ACC. Whenever they're able to do that, and that may not be till 2036, but they're going to raid the ACC. Within the next 20 years, you'll have schools from Virginia and North Carolina in the SEC. And I think if the SEC, I'm sorry,
20 years.
Well, within. You got the ACC, that deal they just signed to get the merit-based revenue sharing may be enough to keep them there till 2036. So
is that signed, sealed, and delivered?
The merit-based revenue sharing?
Yes.
As far as I'm aware, given the fact that the schools have a handshake agreement, so I think the ACC is going to sign off on it. And at that point, it wouldn't be worth it for a Virginia Tech or an NC State to leave because, I mean, that's a risk.
There's not going to be an ACC. Like we talked about yesterday, if you cut off those bottom teams and you pull some funds from them, they're going away. You're going to have a Wake Forest cut football.
Yes, but for Virginia Tech and not Virginia Tech, but for NC State, it's not worth cutting that risk because if they leave right now, they may have a vested interest, even though they were one of the 8 that would be willing to leave. They probably have a vested interest for right now. It probably feels safer to do the merit-based revenue sharing and stay in the ACC because if they leave, they may not get an offer from somewhere else. Because I'm telling you this right now, if the SEC outbids the Big 10 for North Carolina, because North Carolina is the most coveted school, not in one of those 2 conferences, if the SEC wins out on North Carolina, NC State is screwed. They can't go to the Big 10. And the SEC is not going to go for NC State if they get North Carolina.
No.
So, yeah.
I think what's going to end up happening is with this ACC deal, I feel like the top half's pushing the bottom half out. And this is just an easier way to do it than going full out Civil War and making the conference defunct as they tried to do. I think they were 1 vote away. And listen, don't be surprised if some ACC teams like Wake cancel football. If they get money pulled from them, that's the most they could easily say, we're losing money at football. Let's go all in on basketball even more than they have. Either way, I don't think it's 20 years. I don't think that within 5 years, the ACC, I'll say within 4 years, the ACC as we know it will be gone. Kaput.
Okay, that's fair. I will say this. The question is, should the SEC just raid the entire ACC or just the schools they want to keep the Big Ten out? I mean, I think the SEC, for instance, I don't think it's worth it to add Georgia Tech. But if the Big Ten is looking at Georgia Tech, you get Georgia Tech because that's where markets matter. You don't want the Big Ten in your territory for the SEC. So I think they should go for Georgia Tech, Florida State, Miami. I think they should go for all 8 schools looking to leave, maybe even Virginia. Keep the Big Ten north of Washington, D.C.